What's up, guys? Carlos Aviles here. I'm going to give you a quick rundown on the greatest lie ever sold. If you didn't want to pay the money to watch it, I got you. I'm going to break it down as in-depth as possible while it's still fresh in my brain. I just finished watching it. Let's just get right into it. And quick disclaimer, I don't have a horse in this race. I have my own personal opinions about Candace Owens, and I'm going to try my best not to get too in depth with that. I'm going to stick to what I saw and let you know what I feel about what I saw. That's it. I'm not going to try to steer you in a direction and kind of just be like, oh, she said that, she's wild dumb. None of that. I'm just going to tell you what I saw and how I feel. So basically it starts off, a good chunk of it starts off with the George Floyd case. And right away I was like, oh, okay, here we go. She's going to paint this whole narrative that George Floyd deserved it. I don't know. That's just kind of the vibe that I get from Candace. So I'm already rolling my eyes. It starts off with the stuff that I've seen Candace Owens say before, like, it was, he was committing a crime. He was not a good guy. Like, she talks about his past convictions and all that stuff like that. And it's a good chunk of the documentary about this. So I'm just rolling my eyes because I've heard this all before. Now, when I actually stop rolling my eyes, the evidence that she shows starts becoming very interesting. I start seeing body cam footage and start seeing people that I've never seen before in the media talk. That's when it got kind of interesting to me. So basically what she shows is body cam footage that has never been seen before, that I never saw before, that kind of shows, like, the initial video that we saw that went viral was like the cop with his knee on his neck and him saying, "I can't breathe." She shows body cam footage that I never seen with, it looks like the cop's knee is actually on his shoulder blade. So I'm like, okay, that might be still reaching. I'm like, that's still, but I'm listening now because I'm like, oh, I never seen that footage before, right? So then she goes a step further with it. She basically says that he was in the car with his drug dealer. And even still, I'm like, I don't like those terms. Like, stop. You know what I mean? I'm just like, you're kind of hating Candace. But she's kind of right, because he actually was a drug dealer. She shows footage of him in the court talking about he has open cases and he can't talk about it because he's going to incriminate himself. So he's pleading the fifth on the stand. And I'm like, okay, she kind of has a point over here. And the point of the drug deal is to show that before the cops pulled up on him, he was just sitting in the car. When the cops pulled up on him, they dragged him out the car. What I didn't see in the media is another thing they don't say is that after everything happened, they searched the squad car and they found like a few chewed tablets that had fentanyl and methamphetamine in them. So it's looking like what she's trying to say is that when the cops pulled up on him, out of desperation, he put those in his mouth to try to hide them. He OD'd as a result, because if you know anything about fentanyl, of the very smallest amount can kill you. And they did the autopsy and they showed that the fentanyl he had ingested was kind of crazy. Yeah. So I didn't know what to do with that information. So she does that. And my whole thing is that somebody still lost their life. Innocent black man at the hands of police at the end of the day. I don't know if it's important that if he was choked or not. I don't know if that's important. I think she's trying to say, like, why are we celebrating him like a hero when he wasn't? She's trying to say two things here. She's trying to say that this guy's not a hero because he was a terrible guy. He's been in jail 10 times before, all his open cases. I don't agree with that because I just feel like the symbol is what's important. Okay? Like, whether or not you agree with any of his past life doesn't matter in this point, because it's just that everybody feels that if that was a white guy that paid with a counterfeit $20 bill, the cops would have approached him way differently. That's the point. That's why we put his face everywhere, just to remind us that, you know, things like this happen in America. That's my point. So she's trying to prove that. She's also trying to prove this whole riot and narrative of everybody saying that the police killed a black man is not that true because he actually OD'd. That's what she's trying to say. And to that I say, if the cops never pulled up on him the way they did, very aggressively, because you see it in the body cam footage, he wouldn't have been shook and he wouldn't have put those things in his mouth and he wouldn't have died. Because we all know good and well that if that was a white man that had done something like that, the cops would have pulled up on him and said, all right, what's the problem here? Counterfeit bill? Just give me that and go on your way. Cut it out. Cut out the horseplay, Tom. They pulled up on Floyd like, open the window. What's up? Stay in the car. That's the point. So I don't know if she's getting that point, or she thinks that her point is more important than that point. She thinks that, like, this whole narrative of putting George Floyd as a hero is so detrimental, and this whole narrative of the cops killing him is completely wrong, and we should abandon all of the things that I just said right now because what she's saying is more important. I get what she's saying, but I also understand the other side as well. Like, obviously they're not handling it in the best way. That's what she's saying. She's not, but she's also ODing with it. Like, she's going crazy with it. So I don't know what to make of that. I gotta process it more, but that's kind of my train of thoughts right now, having freshly watched it. That's how I feel. If you feel another way, comments, please. I love to have these discussions. So let's go. Okay, so that's how the beginning of it starts. And then, mind you, that's like a lot of it. That's like 30 or 45 minutes of that. The whole thing's like an hour and 15 minutes. Now we go into the Black Lives Matters, because this is what kind of, she's saying that this is what kind of sparked this crazy BLM movement. Oh, one more thing. I just want to make this point because I think this is a good point. So she actually goes to the store owner of the person that called the cops on Floyd. He's saying that people pay with counterfeit bills all the time. He has this whole envelope of counterfeit bills. He's like, I usually just say, hey, this is fake. Get out of my store. That's what I do. And he's like, people usually never cause a fuss. If they do cause a fuss, I call the cops. That's what he said. So he says, after him just saying that, when they cause a fuss, I call the cops. That's what he says. Okay. Somebody came in the store, tried to buy some electronics with a bunch of fake bills. They left. I kicked them out. He didn't say that they were George Floyd's friends. He didn't say nothing about that. He just said some random guy had came in and tried to pay with counterfeit bills. I kicked him out, and that was it. Floyd comes in after with the $20 bill trying to pay for some cigarettes. He doesn't say that he says, hey, it's fake, get out, and George Floyd caused a huge scene. That's why he called the cops. He literally says in the documentary, George Floyd came in to the tobacco section, tried to pay with the $20 bill, and we called the cops. I think what they were trying to say is that because the gentleman that came in before had paid with the fake bills, that they weren't going to tolerate it from Floyd because maybe they were together. But he doesn't say that they were George Floyd's friends walked in and then that guy came in. And he never says that they caused a fuss. He says that they left. So that's kind of weird. Like, why are you calling the cops off the rip after you just said that you don't call the cops off the rip? You just give them a chance, they leave, and that's it. So it's like, they made a very bad point there. So I kind of was like, Okay, so now we get into this whole BLM thing. So basically what she exposes is what you saw in the trailer. I don't know if you saw the trailer. All this money, the 80 million, the 90 million. Now, I'm going to say this. Charlamagne Tha God actually said this in a Breakfast Club interview. It's the statement that I support. I may not support the organization. You may not support the organization, but the fact that it's a statement, I do support that. Black lives do matter. I support that. Now, when we start getting into the organization, that's different. I think Candace Owens needs to realize that too. Like, you may not agree with the organization, but you got to agree with the statement, because there's a lot of people out here that really agree with that statement. You might have your gripe with the organization, but you should be saying, like, Black lives do matter. Because this whole other stuff that, okay, I said I wasn't going to get off. Let's just stick to this. Okay, so she starts breaking down where all this money's going. It turns out that the lady that runs it, I think her name is Patrice something, sending $200,000 to trans, everything but things that help Black people. Mind you, some stuff helps the Black community, but it's like the trans Black community. They're rebuilding they're trying to build a trans village. She donated $200,000 to that. Acceptance for trans, like these huge properties, like ginormous. Patrice is partner, girlfriend, boyfriend. I'm just gonna say partner. I'm sorry, I don't know how to be politically correct yet. You know, I'm still learning. So Patrice's partner. I don't know why I'm doing this either. Patrice's partner, okay? She lives in Toronto, and she bought her a $6.4 million complex thing so she can run Black Lives Matter out of Toronto, Canada. Which is like, why do you need that in Toronto, Canada? Like, we don't got racism like that. I don't get it. Then she's buying properties for this like trans getaway. Like, if you're a transgender person, you can go to this place in Little Arkansas, and there's a pool there, and it's like an oasis type of thing. $200,000 to that. Mind you, these people have not even thrown an event yet. They're like, yeah, come do a getaway coming soon. And then this other thing she donated like $2 million to for like handing out lunches with personalized notes on them. It was just like a lot of things that had nothing to do with the Black community. And the stuff that she did donate to that was for the Black community was to train activists. And she seems to have a problem with that. And then she exposes all this money that's going into these organizations. She's saying that none of the organizations support Black people at all. It's all trans, lesbian, like the LGBTQ plus community. It's all going to that. And it's quite clear from what you see. She shows the receipt. She's got the receipt. She shows the receipts. Where I feel like she was reaching was when she was like, they're donating money to these people and they just train activists. And she calls one of them, and they're like, listen, we're on the front lines. We're there when protesters need bail. We're there. And she has a problem with that. My whole thing is like, why do you got a problem with that if that's what they're supposed to be doing? They're supposed to be training people in their beliefs. That's actually the only money that does make sense in my eyes. Like, yeah, they're supposed to train activists. Like, people want to hit the streets and protest. They need the resources to do so if they believe in this movement. So obviously they're going to put money into that. Okay. And then it ends with her pulling up to this girl's crib, the Patrice, the organizer's house. Nobody's there. And then she kind of makes fun of her when the girl is like, it was kind of funny though, because Candace Owens pulls up to the crib, and then she's just like, hello, hi, excuse me, is anybody there? Can we'll leave if you want. We just want to ask you a couple of questions. And then the video of Patrice is like, Candace Owens came and attacked me at my house. And she was just yelling outside, and then it just go back and forth of Candace just standing there like, hi, like being the most polite person ever. And that's the documentary. That's the big exposure. Basically, she just exposed that Black Lives Matter donates a bunch of money to the trans community and gay community, and they really do very little for the black community, which is kind of surprising to me. I'm not gonna lie. They also showed this neighborhood in George Floyd, this neighborhood in Minneapolis that's the free state of George Floyd, where basically anything goes down there. Apparently, I don't know how much I believe that because it's still in America, so I don't know if anything goes down there. She did come with an interesting statistic though, that after the death of George Floyd, that little area that they call the George Floyd state, like crime has gone up there the highest it's been in 20 years. And mind you, I don't know, Candace Owens is weird with the statistics. They'll just put that on a screen and you'll be like, did you know? Like, I should go research that. I don't know if that's true. If that is true, that's crazy. If it's not true, then I'm just going to blame that. Because I've seen Candace Owens say a bunch of false things, by the way. That's the thing that these people, these Daily Wire guys do. They'll just be like, nah, well, 1 in 5 people are blah, 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 blah. And it's just, you just believe it. And then you go actually look up some of the stuff and it's like, that's a lie. All right. So my opinion, basically, it was kind of interesting to see these George Floyd stuff come up that I did not know. And I kind of, not going to lie, I kind of have a different view on what happened. Does seem like it was an overdose. But that doesn't change the fact that police brutality is a thing. So if she's trying to erase police brutality, which it seems like she's trying to do, it does exist, and I feel like George Floyd would have still been alive if the cops pulled up on him like he was a white guy. That's how I feel. As far as this whole BLM thing goes, with them donating all this money to all this trans and lesbian community, I don't like that at all, and I don't want to support their organization after watching this, I'm not gonna lie. I will agree with the statement that Black Lives Matter, but I don't want anything to do with that organization. I think that that's very shady. But at the same time, I'm taking it with a grain of salt because I'm going to go do a little research and trying to make sure that everything is what Candace Owens is saying. I'm not just going to jump off the ship. I'm still going to do some research, and I suggest you do the same. If anybody has anything to say about any of the things that I just said right now, if you have a different take, please put it in the comment section below. Hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be reviewing basically anything that's hot right now. So if you enjoyed this, I'm just starting out. Show me some love. Let me know that you liked it. Let me know that you saw it. Let me know that I'm an idiot. Let me know that you agree with me. Yeah, maybe we can get into some hotter takes together. Like, I'm just testing the waters, and I know how dangerous going to the right is or going to the left is. I'm just going to try to stay in the middle, or I might just veer off you might just catch me in a moment where I just veer off all the way to the right, or I might just veer off all the way to the left. I highly doubt that. I'm going to stay as middle as possible. For you, just for the sake of you, because I don't want to paint any narratives. I don't like when people are just like trying to indoctrinate people with their beliefs. I don't like that at all, and I feel like that's kind of what the Daily Wire people do. Even though a lot of what they say makes a lot of sense, I just feel a lot of it is also, they have an agenda. Another thing too, another point that I want to say is that I feel like, personally is how I feel like if the Black Lives Matter movement started and they were all on the Republican side, if they were all a bunch of Republicans, this documentary would have never happened, even with the exact same expenses. Mind you, they wouldn't have gone to the trans community, but they probably would have went to a bunch of stuff that the Republicans believe in. Like NRA donations probably, stuff like that, and then there would have been no documentary. Candace Owens wouldn't have been hitting the streets like that. So that's how I feel. Political agendas, kind of weird. Once again, if you like what you saw, please let me know. Hit the comments, hit the subscribe button. This is Carlos Aviles signing off.